Feel free to check out my TeePublic after the video. After the release of Rodan, Toho decided to create yet another monster, this time with giant monster Varan, a film that was so unfairly doomed to obscurity that it is not even funny. This was a US-Japan co-production for a 3-part television series after Rodan's positivity among audiences. But because the American company that was working with Toho on Varan backed out, both parties were essentially left with an unfinished version of the film. So in Japan, Varan was restructured as a theatrical release, and in America we got a film that was shorter, with Varan hardly being in the movie at all. Nowadays, it's hard trying to find the original Japanese version for a decent price, specifically the DVD release from Tokyo Shock. Like, geez, I can get the Mysterians for half of that. Though to be fair, it does include a reconstruction of what the film was originally going to be, with the new score and sound-only cards being shown where there isn't footage. So as you probably would have guessed from its tragic production history, Varan didn't really do so well in general. Critics from America and Japan alike basically came to a consensus that pretty much boiled down to, it's a monster movie, what else is new? However, many of the monster roars and some of the motifs you hear in other Godzilla media all came from Varan. Like, does this sound familiar? Not only that, but Varan's roar would later be used for Baragon, Gorosaurus, and God knows how many other kaiju made by Eiji Tsuburaya. And Varan would also be the first Toho kaiju film to start the trend of using stock footage to pad out the runtime, as it uses footage from Godzilla films prior to its release. And I'm pretty sure Varan's roar is just a modified version of the Godzilla roar. Actually, I don't think this even is Varan's roar, as it's also heard in Rodan, which came out 2 years before it. But enough about that, how does the film hold up these days? Well, it's about these two scholars who were sent by a biologist to investigate a village in the Tohoku region of Japan, and find out that the inhabitants all worship a god known as Baragadi, who in actuality is a Varanopode, later named Varan. What is a Varanopode, you may ask? Something they just made up to sound smart. You know, your typical science fiction mumbo-jumbo. So this premise is pretty much almost identical to the original Godzilla's, in which this monster is worshipped by natives as a wrathful god and would escape and go on a rampage in Tokyo. Overall, it's your standard monster movie. I can understand why a lot of people would turn it down for its unoriginality, but years have not been very kind to Varan. Originally, he was going to star in Destroy All Monsters in a major role, but the suit, which was made almost entirely of peanut shells, deteriorated, so all they had was a miniature model for the creature. In 1972's The Return of King Ghidorah, a prototype for Godzilla vs. Gigan, he was going to be featured with the film's monster protagonists, which consisted of Godzilla, Rodan, and Varan, as they would also face against King Ghidorah, Gigan, and a new kaiju named Mogu, who was a space dragon. But because of the budget and whatnot, the final monster selection ended up being Godzilla and Anguirus, who replaced Rodan, versus Gigan and King Ghidorah. Varan was also intended to be the original villain for Godzilla 7, in which the draft that featured Varan as the antagonist was titled Godzilla vs. Giant Monster Varan, and after several rewrites, this project became Godzilla vs. Destroya. And finally, in the original concept for GMK, Varan was to be featured alongside Baragon and Anguirus, and would later be replaced with King Ghidorah, whose heads kinda actually look like Varan's. While Varan does have its fans, me being one of them, it's not really that bad of a film. Again, I can see why people don't appreciate it for its unoriginality, but it's still an entertaining monster flick, especially with Akira Fukubi's fantastic scoring and some pretty sweet action sequences, even if Haruo Nakajima nearly lost his manhood. That's all I have for today's History of Godzilla. Thank you for watching, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys later.